you very much. So, firstly, I want to just extend a huge thank you to the organizers. It was back in 2022 when I first went to the Martech Fest, that is Vibe, when it was at Dubai Marina. And on that day, I was just blown away by the caliber of the people that I met, the talks and the panels. And you can already see that today in terms of what we've already had the privilege of seeing. So I'm very excited to be talking about something that I'm personally very invested in, and that is the melting points where creativity meets technology. So today, we all know customer engagement is more complex, with more messaging and more touch points than ever before. But ironically, as we have more data, as we have more AI, and as we have more algorithms, what we're seeing is actually more of the same. And what I want to be talking to you about today is how, when in a world in which every brand is starting to look the same, is starting to sound the same, and is starting to behave the same, creativity becomes your unfair advantage. Now, what do we mean by creativity is your unfair advantage? Well, it means better tech for better creativity, and not better tech for tech's sake. And what we want to be thinking about with this is, how do we break out of that in order to be able to create creative campaigns with technology? Now, I want to be sharing with you an example from a Braze customer, Pedidos Ya. It's part of the Delivery Hero group, so Hunger Station and Talabat, which I'm sure you're all familiar with here. And they were able to run an amazing creative campaign at a time when everyone was trying to get their brand out, and a moment that an entire nation was consumed with what was about to happen when, I'll let the film roll.
Why did Pedidos Ya, the #1 delivery app in Argentina, send a fake push notification to all its users? Argentinians waited for the cup for 36 years. And finally, the national team delivered. The country was complete madness.
But something was missing: the World Cup trophy.
People are waiting for the trophy.
At full speed, we cross-checked the flight number with public data from an aerospace traffic app and linked it to our delivery app. So right as the airplane wheels lifted off Qatar's soil, 6 million Pedidos Ya users took the bait. To everyone's surprise, the classic delivery map, instead of a cheeseburger, showed the World Cup's journey home, so every Argentinian could follow it in real time.
When I opened it, he moved me to tears, Pedidos Ya.
Clap, clap, clap. It was the cup. I think I love you, Pedidos Ya.
Therefore, a simple push notification achieved something incredible,
making Pedidos Ya have 32% more mentions than Messi.
On the day the whole country was thinking of Messi and Argentina becoming champions,
the Pedidos Ya hashtag reached the top of the trending chart
organically, turning it into the most viral brand action of the World Cup. We reached more than half the country, and all of that with an investment of $0.
I'm sure we can all agree that as brand marketeers, we would love to be able to generate those kind of returns and that kind of value from creative campaigns that you are running. This particular example went on to win the Grand Prix for mobile at Cannes Lions back in 2023, just sort of showing how impactful these kind of campaigns can be. Now, we have to ask ourselves, what makes this Pedidos Ya example so great? And one of the things I want to be sharing with you is a couple of takeaways for you today in terms of how you might start thinking about bringing creativity into your brand strategy, into your technology strategy. So I really think that it starts with this. It starts with how Pedidos, your example, manages to blur those lines between CRM and brand marketing. And that's something that we all want to be thinking about, how we do that. And these are some ways you can unlock your creative edge in your CRM and your CX strategy. The first is find your melting point between brand and performance. And the second is how we become better data storytellers. So we heard from the panel at the beginning about how different brands in the region are tackling this challenge and this opportunity that exists between balancing brand and performance. And I love some of the answers there around, market maturity and thinking about how much you're actually investing in terms of your dollar budget into both of these. But we all know that they've historically always had this tension. So on one hand, we've always had short-term drive for sales, and on the other, it's about this long-term investment in brand activations, in campaigns, in order to be able to build brand equity with people out in the market. We know it's a false tension. And we've been hearing a lot about ROI, but in an ROI-obsessed world, what happens is that the short term is often prioritized over those long-term brand-building exercises. So what I want to just share with you now is a framework that I think is really fantastic to think about how you can find your melting point between brand and performance and some of the activations and tactics that you can take. So on the left, we have brand-building tactics, and on the right, we have those sales activation tactics that you can start thinking about. Okay, how do we balance this within our CX? How do we balance this within our CRM strategies that we run? And ultimately, what we know is that these two need to complement each other, but I think there's actually an imperative that they complement each other. So all of this, and by taking some of those actions, is going to lead to a point where you too can drive and build, drive transactions and build your brand at the same time. So the second takeaway is around tell a better data story. And this is all about balancing the needs of your customer and of your brand. So marketers, we've all said, over time, we want to be more customer-centric. And what does that mean? Well, in the world of data, it means asking yourself, does sharing my data make my life better as I interact with your brand? And that's what customers are thinking. This is a great framework to think about how that value exchange can happen, moving up from very transactional efficiency, belonging, up to this point of, you're actually using my data to make my life better. And I loved some of what Richard was talking about in terms of maybe using that data to create social proof as well. And we're going to move on to some examples from that. So Braze, we are the leading customer engagement platform, and Braze is designed to deliver cohesive, personalized journeys that are easy to build. And not only do we enable our customers to manage large volumes of data, but we're also enabling them to do it in meaningful ways and in creative ways. And one of those really creative ways that we've seen be very successful is the year in review. And I think this is actually great from that social proof perspective that we were hearing about earlier. So yes, Spotify Wrapped may have invented the space, but they certainly don't own the IP for it. And what we see is this is such an excellent type of creative campaign that when run well, you see speaks to both the CFO and with brand leaders. So two examples from some recent examples that we have is one, the Braze customer Peacock, who, streaming service in the US, for those that might not know, did a wrap back in 2022. And what we're doing here is we're building a personalized experience for every user based on kind of when you watch the most, what day you watch the most, and really trying to create these kind of social moments for yourself and understanding how you sit within the social group. What's amazing about this is we see like 20% reduction in the churn rate for those users that received it, but also 6% uplift in upgrades from free to paid subscribers across this. So what we're doing is we're actually, as I spoke there before about, is you're showing the ROI, but you're also being able to run great creative. The other example that I absolutely love is from the beauty brand e.l.f. So e.l.f. has 5.3 million users in their beauty squad, and they did something really simple with their Year Wrapped, and it was built in collaboration with Braze's creative services team called 427, and they just took the transaction data of the users. So they had that, and then they turned it into some really fun, playful outputs. One of those was TikTok-style trending charts. It was about taking personalized journeys of how people were going through, trying to be the best versions of themselves with what they were buying and how they fitted into that bigger picture of what other people were buying. So this was just run, and I think it's still live. Actually, you can go and see it on their site. It's a really great example of how you can activate that data to show social proof and to also just build that fandom, that community that you've got within your customer base. So with that, I want to say there's never been a better time to be a better marketeer, and we've got some exclusive content you can download. So if you just want to scan this, it is a report and some more information. Melting Points AI, new flavors of creativity. We've got the booth in the other side, so come say hi to the team over the next couple of days and enjoy the rest of the content because it really is fantastic. Thank you so much.